What's good, y'all? Tristan here, and today I cannot be more excited to share with you the 100 most insane, bizarre, crazy, cool, awesome facts about Australia. I included many things that I've learned in my time here in Australia. I reached out to tons of Aussie friends. I searched all over the internet, and I even went around asking random Aussies if they could tell me some cool facts about their country. And me being a foreigner and them being the friendly people that Aussies are, they were more than happy to share with me some cool facts about Australia. So in total, I collected nearly 200 crazy cool facts about Australia, and now I've whittled it down to my 100 favorite. I really hope you enjoy this video because I think this list right here is the coolest list of Aussie facts out there on the internet. For the sake of time, I did not want this being like a 30-minute video, so I am dividing this into two parts. This video will include the first 50 awesome facts about Australia, and then the next video I upload will include the second 50. Let's get into it. The first cool fact about Australia is that the Gold Coast, the area where I am in right now, has more canals than Venice. Matter of fact, it has the largest canal system in the world, and there are more canals here than in Venice and Amsterdam combined. Fact number 2 is that Australia is the only country in the world where there are more people from America that immigrate to it rather than more citizens of this country that immigrate to America. Number 3, and that is if all the sails of the Opera House were put together, it would form a perfect sphere. And the story behind this is that apparently the architect was inspired while peeling an orange. Fact number 4 is that in 1932, the Australian military waged war on a bunch of emus in Western Australia, and they actually lost. So apparently back in the day, farmers had a big problem with emus and they couldn't get rid of them all, so they called on the Australian military for help. And so the Australian military came in and absolutely failed at killing these emus. At first, when they were trying to shoot them, they were too far away. Then they got this big old machine gun and they found a pack of 1,000 of them, and while trying to shoot them, the gun jammed and they ended up only killing 12. They kept on trying to kill these herds of them with machine guns, and they shot over 2,500 rounds but only ended up killing around 50 to 200 emus. After admitting defeat and leaving, eventually the Australian military did come back and they went for Emu War Round 2. This time they spent several weeks trying to kill these emus and they killed under 1,000 of them. It was ultimately unsuccessful, so then they switched to a bounty program, but it doesn't change the fact that at one point the military here lost a war on birds. Fact number 5 is that the word selfie originated from Australia. Next up, so there are over 10,000 beaches here in Australia, which means if you visited one new beach every single day, it would take nearly 30 years before you visited all the beaches here in Australia. One of the coolest fun facts about Australia is that one of their former prime ministers, Prime Minister Bob Hawke, set a beer drinking record by drinking a yard of beer in 11 seconds. That is equal to about 2.5 pints or 1.4 liters of beer in 11 seconds. Fun fact number 8 is that Australia was actually founded by criminals. Well, I guess it was colonized by the British, but some of the first people they sent over here were some of their convicted criminals. Which brings me to fact number 9, and that is that the first police force here in Australia was actually made up of well-behaved criminals. Number 10 is that the city here, Perth, is actually the most isolated city in the world. So I guess it's no surprise why they've had so few cases of COVID-19. Fun fact number 11, and that is that Melbourne actually has the largest population of Greek people outside of Athens, and 85% of Australians live close to the coast. Close just meaning they live within 50 kilometers of the ocean. Next up is Australia is the only continent without an active volcano. Now here's a fact that I did not believe at all when I first heard it, and that is that the Australian Alps receive more annual snowfall than the Swiss Alps. But I looked into it and it's actually true. Even though you think of Australia being a place of beaches and sunshine and amazing weather, which is, you know, pretty true for the most part, there are also mountains here and it also snows here. And yeah, apparently it doesn't just snow here, but it snows quite a lot in those mountains. Now Australia is known for its incredible wildlife, so the next several facts are going to be dedicated to all things that are related to Australians' wildlife. So here we go. There are actually 3 times as many sheep here in Australia as there are humans. But if that didn't surprise you, this next one will, and that is there are over 1 million wild camels here in Australia, which is more than any other country. And before coming here, I didn't even know that there were any camels in Australia. Next up is the wombat, which is a native animal here in Australia. Well, yeah, it poops in squares. Yeah, you heard me right. It's doo-doo. It looks like this. It literally poops squares. Something you might not have known about one of Australia's most famous animals, the koala, is that it actually sleeps for 20 hours a day. And if you think they're really cute and you know you want to snuggle up next to one, just know that most koalas in Australia have chlamydia. Next up is that echidnas and platypuses are the only mammals in the world to lay eggs. If you're someone who doesn't like or is a little scared of Australia's creepy crawlies, well, this fact is not going to put you to rest, and that is there are over 1,500 different species of spiders here in Australia. And something else that might scare you off is that Australia is home to 21 of the top 25 most venomous snakes in the world. But don't worry about Australia's venomous animals, because you are actually more likely to die from a horse or a cow. In addition, you're also more likely to die from hornets or bees than you are Australia's venomous animals. And you're more likely to die from shark attacks or other marine life than you are from venomous animals here. Speaking of shark attacks, even though the US and Australia both average around 16 shark attacks a year, you are twice as likely to die from the shark attack here in Australia. Next up is Australia is home to over 250 species of marsupials. That's like animals with a little pouch in them, like kangaroos. Well, yeah, kangaroos are the only ones like that here. There are 249 other species that have pouches. Speaking of kangaroos, kangaroos are the national animal of Australia, yet they are also considered pests in many places. Australia eats their national animal. It might be the only country that does that, but I don't know. Whether it's the only country or not, it's still kind of a weird fun fact that Australia eats its national animal. Kangaroos are less than 1 inch when they are born. Now this next fact is something that absolutely blows my mind, and that is that 90% of all animals that are found in Australia are only found in Australia. They are unique to Australia. And if you're including plants, then 80% of all plants and animals found in Australia are unique to Australia. You only find them here. Now an animal I didn't even know they had here until I came was a crocodile, saltwater crocodile, and some fun facts about them is one, only 1% of crocodiles reach adulthood. But the second cool fact about crocodiles is the gender of the crocodile, whether it's male or female, is 100% determined by the weather. Or sorry, not the weather, but the temperature. So if the eggs are kept above 33 or below 31 Celsius, then it is going to be a female. But if they are kept around 31.6 degrees, so very specific, then all the eggs that hatch are going to be male. I don't know why, but this is something I found super crazy. Now next up is that one of the turtles here, the Fitzroy River turtle, can actually breathe through its butt, and it allows it to stay underwater for up to 21 days. Don't know why you'd need to know that, but hey, now you know. Now despite all these deadly animals, the animal that actually probably terrorizes Australians the most is the magpie. This isn't really a hardcore fact, but I'd say if you asked a bunch of Australians what animal scares them the most or what animal are they most afraid of, most of them are gonna say magpies. The reason for this is because they swoop down and will attack you out of nowhere during nesting season, and they're known for poking out eyeballs and making people go blind. This is especially true for infants and young kids. It was really hard to find solid statistics on this, but the best one I found is it looks like there are about 500 eye-related injuries, like hospitalization, eye-related injuries each year from magpie attacks. So the next fun fact about Australia is it is actually the largest gambling country in the world per capita. The average Australian loses over 1,200 Australian dollars a year to gambling. More about gambling is that 80% of adults in Australia are said to be involved in gambling in some sort of way, and 40% of adult Australians are said to be regular gamblers, meaning they gamble at least once a month. 39 is that mining is actually one of Australia's biggest industries, but number 40 is that there is actually more land covered in pubs and bars than there is land that is like used for mining. Now some of the craziest cool facts about Australia have to do with the size and length of things. So the next couple facts are going to be about some really big things here in Australia. The first one being that Australia is home to the world's largest cattle ranch. It covers over 34,000 square kilometers. That is bigger than the country of Belgium, bigger than Israel, that is bigger than all of the Hawaiian Islands put together, and that is bigger than 8 other US states. That is absolutely enormous. Another enormous thing here is that Australia is home to the largest fence in the world, the dingo fence here. It is 5,600 kilometers long, or about 3,500 miles. That is long enough to easily stretch from one end of the US all the way to the other. It's also home to the largest highway in the world, which is 9,000 miles long. That is larger than the Earth's diameter. Not only does it have the world's largest highway, Australia also has the world's longest stretch of a perfectly straight road. It is 146 kilometers long of just perfectly straight road. Another long thing on Australia is home to the longest railroad in the world. And lastly, it is home to the longest golf course in the world, which is 850 miles long, which is about 1,350 kilometers long. It stretches between 2 states, and it is called Nullarbor Links. Quick interjection, I just want to say I worked super hard coming up with all the facts for this video and putting it all together. So if you have learned anything from this video, or if you've just enjoyed it, please consider giving it a big old like. Thank you very much. Back to the video. More fun facts about Australia. It is kind of compulsory to vote here. It's not necessarily compulsory to vote, but it is compulsory to show up to the polling booth and like get your name checked off. If you don't, you will be fined. Australia was also the second country in the world to give women the rights to vote. The first was New Zealand, so I know there's some rivalry between y'all, and all I gotta say is Australia, New Zealand got you beat there. But something Australia beats the entire world in is minimum wage. Here in Australia, they have the highest minimum wage in the world. But in this beautiful sunshiny country, they also have the highest rate of skin cancer in the world. New Zealand comes in at number 2. Guys, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you check out the second part where I talk about the second 50 awesome cool facts about Australia. I've saved some of the coolest, the best ones for the second part of this video, so make sure you check out that video right over there. Thank you all so much, guys. Peace.